So, that's going on. But the main story, of course, is that Boris Johnson probably lied to Parliament. So, just to give you a bit of a timeline breakdown of what's happened. So, on 10th of May, 2020, Johnson gave a speech where he said, "We must maintain social distancing." Right? That was the quote from that speech. Big address to the nation, behind the big desk, US President style. 15th of May, 2020. So 5 days later, we now know that there was a garden party at Downing Street, including Boris Johnson, his wife, and several cabinet ministers. Then, 20th of May, 5 days later, what's came out as of yesterday is that there was another party with 30 to 40 people. And the key detail there is that at this point, meetings with more than one other person, even outdoors, were still banned. So, now he's got the choice. Does he keep lying about it? Or does he admit that he was at the party and that he's broken the ministerial code by lying about not being at the party and by going against what he told the country to do, which is not see more than one person from another household? Let's see.
Deeply saddened to hear of his death, and my thoughts are with Harriet and the family and all those who knew him as a friend. Mr. Speaker, I want to apologise. I know that millions of people across this country have made extraordinary sacrifices over the last 18 months. I know the anguish that they have been through, unable to mourn their relatives, unable to live their lives as they want or to do the things they love. And I know the rage they feel with me and with the government I lead when they think that in Downing Street itself the rules are not being properly followed by the people who make the rules. And though I cannot anticipate the conclusions of the current inquiry, I have learned enough to know that there were things we simply did not get right. And I must take responsibility. Number 10 is a big department with the garden as an extension of the office, which has been in constant use because of the role of fresh air in stopping the virus. And when I went into that garden just...
The role of fresh... Sorry to interrupt. It's been used because of the role of fresh air in stopping the virus. We had a garden party with 40-odd people to stop the virus, essentially. The role of fresh air in stopping the virus is why the garden's been used for wine and cheese parties, folks, just in case you're wondering.
Stopping the virus. And when I went into that garden just after 6 on the 20th of May, 2020, to thank groups of staff before going back into my office 25 minutes later to continue.
25 minutes of thank yous before going back to my office. This gets better and better.
Groups of staff before going back into my office 25 minutes later to continue working. I believed implicitly that this was a work event. But, Mr. Speaker, with hindsight, I should have sent everyone back inside. I should have found some other way to thank them. And I should have recognised that even if it could be said technically to fall within the guidance, there would be millions and millions of people who simply would not see it that way, people who suffered terribly, people who were forbidden from meeting loved ones at all, inside or outside. And to them and to this House, I offer my heartfelt apologies. And all I ask is that Sue Gray be allowed to complete her inquiry into that day and several others so that the full facts can be established. And I will, of course, come back to this House and make a statement.
So that the full facts can be established. I was there, and I'm sorry. I just ask that Sue Gray be allowed to conduct her full inquiry so she can establish the facts that I know in my brain, because I was there. When all this was going on, my friend's dad died in hospital. Visitors were not allowed. He died alone. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. And that is the story of the moment, really. There are so many people that were in the same situation. The fact that people were asked to stay away from the hospital beds of their loved ones that were passing away whilst these lot were having wine and cheese parties in a group of 40, you start to see why this is such a problem. Same for a friend at your work, Eric, his dad too. It's horrible. It is sickening. Do you know what this is? I'm surprised that this is being said, but I don't know. You saw my face at the start when he said I want to apologise. He's worked it back into what you'd kind of expect from him. It's an apology whilst trying to cover his tracks. I was there for 25 minutes giving thank yous. So specific. Do you need an inquiry if you can remember how many minutes you were there for? Or can you just tell us everything?
Well, there we have it. After months of deceit and deception, the pathetic spectacle of a man who's run out of road. His defence that he didn't realise he was at a party. It is so ridiculous that it's actually offensive to the British public.
Really fucking spicy start, right? This is 8 Mile, Mr. New Vegas. It's fucking 8 Mile time. Is he going to choke? What's going to happen?
He's finally been forced to admit what everyone knew, that when the whole country was locked down, he was hosting boozy parties in Downing Street. Yes. Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the point that he's making about the event that I attended. I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker, I regret.
This is really unbelievable, isn't it? I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event. I'm only really just getting my head around this point. So he's not claiming that it was a work event like he was before, like they all were before. He's now claiming that he just didn't know it was a work event. He didn't know it wasn't a work event. So let's picture it then. So he walks out into the garden. He sees everybody, 40 people out in the garden. Presumably they've all got a drink in hand. And he thinks, wow, look at their dedication, staying behind to work so late. Does that sound right?